Landscape with man in high-vis jacket and alpaca. 1. I set out on the rails, sedated against the wilderness. A loyal escapade, a mission of ruin. Our route became snagged, wild floods warping the path. Beyond a forest, a remote plain. Yellow pines staggered downwards along the steep moss cuttings, their bark scaled with lichen, limbs spread-eagled, distended. The floods lay clean across the plains, the water trapped between shades of the overhanging sky and the underlying ground, a mottled pitch sown with silver, a chalk horse grown over, a den rubbled under sedge. Where the weather offered itself across the long valley, a far wood where muntjac fled at our sound, and a toothbrush of distant birches offered a rural avenue, the ghost of a midnight coachman putting the whip to his horse. Be aware, sir, you carry my life in your hands. Two. Who spared the copse across the plains? A hill fort of thin stalks is denuded by autumn, emptied of shelter, these washed-out colours like a misted Paul Nash. Rain on glass, blue on glass, the colour of mercury or petrol as the light shifts. We lose focus, begin to drift. They came upon the tent in a narrow clearing, uniforms black cloth studded with burdock. Dogs springing at leather, they whipped at grass heads with truncheons or at the flies springing from the damp land. One held his mouth open in a sort of leer, the other stared at his reflection in the hallucinating pitch. Outside the tent flap, they found an enamel mug and emptied cans, the boots wrapped in polythene, the high-vis jacket. Knock, knock, one said. No one answered. 3. It's the painting no one painted, the canvas stowed for years inside a downbeat garret, all expressionist angles and jerry-built walls, a bare skull dreaming of broken office chairs and grimed paperbacks, the easel propped under the skylight in pools of acrylics and oils, a doomed watcher forever vigilant over the carousel of strays who had made the place a home, the match-day vagrants, the lazy couples learning love, rent and meals after work, the young Turks, street salesmen, the heartbreaks and pickpockets. I was one of them, let me tell you, these are such days. 4. A portrait. Autumn withdrew credit, offered redundancy and bad weather. I kept the coat. We are a house with an empty room, she is already ahead. I learned to watch as she walked away. I drink in lunar company, the sleek disc my target beyond the branch's interference. This is the pattern of static on my TV. I lift a can, I degauss the galaxy. Credit working on the rails for my appreciation of the moon, the gleam on blue steel, the luminous stitching. I dream of birds and wake to birdsong. I look for work. The alpaca spits onto earth, chews witchgrass into cud, uprooting and uprooted, forages on an empty plain. I search for permanence, a fixture in a temporary home. 5. In the drifter's bestiary, peacocks are a Friday night, herons are grief, pelicans are bankers, bald blind mole rats are hedge fund managers, cormorants are sadness, wagtails are family, salmon are the ache for home, monkeys are chaos theory, and also drugged sleep, and also drunk texting, dogs are conditioned servility or loyalty, cats are free enterprise, kingfishers are nostalgia, orangutans are the novel, horses are the ruling class, a wounded jackal is society, the alpaca represents bafflement at the way things turned out. 6. They come to me at night, making requests for easy dreams, forlorn supplicants begging for a home. Away from that slow train, arriving at midnight at its washed-out stop, they tell me how they retreated from the floods, the man leaning against the barbs of spring-loaded wire, the alpaca feeding from the grassy knots in the drenched land. The man stands with a boot against the fence post, with a steaming enamel mug. He speaks of indifference abroad, of ruin. He offers a pathway from that railway line, through the garret of broken angles, the rounding up of strays. His hand is outstretched, the moon making filigree on the silver patches on his elbows. He offers the sheer fluorescence of that bright, bright yellow for which you will never find a paint.